So well over a full week now has passed since UFC 257 where Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor faced off, and since then there's been a wide variety of different rumors, stories, and narratives people are trying to throw around. People are trying to give their own spin on what really happened at UFC 257, and for this video I really kind of want to look at, what is the difference between Conor McGregor of then and Conor McGregor of now, because I feel like there's definitely a difference. I mean, Conor McGregor came to the UFC on a 15-fight tear over the course of 5 years, and then in the past 2 years he's been 3-2 in his last 5 fights. I feel like you could definitely point to a few things, whether it be holes in his game, a style that beats Conor, a strategy that opponents come in with that beats Conor, and also just his demeanor and how he approaches fights in terms of his preparation, things like that. Right off the bat though, I do want to give credit where credit is due. Dustin came in with the perfect game plan. I know that the leg kicks were a pretty big narrative, people like to talk about that, and it should be for obvious reasons, because if you're facing somebody like Conor McGregor who has a very boxing heavy style, a style that really drives a lot of its power from its legs up, especially that league leg where you're planting down and throwing power, especially from that backhand. If you're Conor, that left hand, when you start chewing away at that leg, you start chipping away at that leg, and you take away a lot of that stability and that base to be able to throw that power and throw those punches. You take away movement of the guy, so he's not going to be as good of a counter puncher moving in and out of range, especially someone like Conor who likes to move in and out with that counter pull too. And you're not going to get as much power, especially when you step down and plant to throw that backhand, that left hand. You're not going to get as much power because you can't plant. You don't have that stability. Before coming to the UFC, Conor had his last loss. He was like 4-2, and after that went on a 15-fight tear over the course of 5 years, literally just absolutely smoking everybody in the first or second round. I don't think a lot of people realize, the confidence that you gain and the momentum you gain when you're constantly just murking people in the first and second round over the course of 5 years, and that's all you're used to. With 15 fights over 5 years, I mean, that's 3 fights a year. You definitely get very used mentally and physically to being in the octagon, throwing punches, getting out of range of punches. And then he runs into someone like Nate Diaz, which kind of gets me into the whole stylistic conversation. Stylistically, everyone was always saying, you have to be a wrestler, you have to be a grappler, that's how you beat him. That's why Khabib was his kryptonite, because Khabib is like the Superman, the Michael Jordan of wrestling and grappling. I do think that is a hole in his game, but I do think there's a bigger hole in his game, and I think you saw that in the Nate Diaz fight. You even saw it in the Khabib fight, and you saw it in the Poirier fight. Conor has a problem with people that are pressure fighters, and I know what you're going to say. He's fought pressure fighters before and beat them. The thing is why it's so important in the Diaz fight is you have someone like Nate Diaz who is never going to stop being in your face. He's going to constantly be trying to walk you down, be in your face. He's not going to get tired. He has insane cardio. He has good jiu-jitsu. He does have a ground game. But the biggest thing is he has an iron chin. If you can take Conor's shots, if you can get through that first and that second round of taking Conor's shots like Nate did, like Dustin did, like Khabib did, I don't really mean it in the sense that you just have to have a good chin to face Conor, because there have been people that have good chins that have faced Conor and that have been knocked out. You just have to have a chin that's strong enough to be able to hold up and withstand his punches, and if you can withstand his punches and get through those rounds where he's really dangerous, especially in that Nate Diaz fight, Diaz stayed in Conor's face pretty much the whole time. He did take a lot of shots. He got bloodied, he got busted up pretty bad, but I believe it was the second or third round, he was just wearing on him. He kept punching him. And there was a point where, he rocked Conor, he kind of smacked him, and it just kind of rocked him, and he just kept hitting him, and he kept hitting him, and he kept pitter-patting him with these shots, and then smacked him again, and it kind of rocked Conor, and he stumbled back, and then that's when Conor shot in for the takedown, because Conor couldn't take the pressure of Diaz walking in, because he was getting tired, he couldn't breathe, and the constant pressure of Diaz being in his face was interrupting his breathing, making him even more tired, so he shot in on Diaz, which is an absolutely god-awful idea, because having the ground game that Nate Diaz has, when you're someone like Conor McGregor, is not the place you want to be. So his closest fights of his career at that point, up until that point, we're up against Nate Diaz, a pressure fighter who has an amazing chin and insane cardio. Then we go on to the Eddie Alvarez fight. Eddie Alvarez is a good pressure fighter, but he just didn't have the chin to be able to hang with Conor, because every time Conor touched him, you could see the impact it had on him. He would fall, he would stumble, he rocked him. I mean, Conor pretty much did whatever he wanted to do with Eddie Alvarez in that fight. Then you fast forward to Khabib, and the Khabib fight, and I know that's Khabib's whole game, is his grappling and his wrestling and the shot. That's the pressure he puts on you. But you saw in the second round, because Khabib understands that the pressure he puts on Conor is constantly making Conor think of the takedown, In that second round, Khabib throws an overhand, but when he throws that overhand, he ducks under. When he ducks under like that, it makes Conor think of the takedown, and he's coming up top, hits him with the overhand. Rocked him pretty bad. Obviously didn't knock him out. Wasn't really a big game changer, I guess, in the fight. But in that fight, you saw Khabib take Conor's best shots. He may have got rocked, but he never really saw it. He survived that first and second round, pretty much took his power away, and then pretty much did whatever he wanted. And with that pressure, he forced a takedown. He even rocked him on the feet. It was just the constant pressure and the mental fatigue and aspect of, wondering, was he going to throw a shot? Is he going to shoot for a takedown? You don't know. And then you go to the Cowboy fight. In the Cowboy fight, Conor looked great. He fought Cowboy Cerrone, knocked him out in 40 seconds. Anybody that knows MMA, though, kind of expected that, because Cowboy Cerrone is like the slowest of slow starters, especially in the first round. And you're facing someone like Conor McGregor who comes out guns blazing, who's going to be in your face literally as soon as that bell rings. It was just a bad stylistic matchup, and I think that's kind of why you saw what you saw. And then you go to the Poirier fight. fight. When we break down the Poirier fight, people want to say that he had ring rust, you know, Conor had too much time off in between fights, too long of a layoff. He fought a year ago, and I don't think a year is that long to really get ring rust. I mean, Sean O'Malley had 2 years off, and you saw he came and delivered some of the best knockouts of 2020. So I really don't think you could say that ring rust was really a factor, because it was only a year of literally like it just became a year. Not to mention too, that whole entire fight, he looked sharp the whole time. Like, he was tagging Dustin, like he won the first round. He tagged Dustin a couple times. He caught him like 2 or 3 times within like probably like a 30-second span with that left hand, that 1-2, even his lead uppercut too. He just kept catching him with a lot of different things, and he was tagging him. It was just Dustin was taking all of his best shots. And the difference in that could have been the maturity in Dustin, but it also could have been the fact that they're at 155. The last time they fought was 145, and people don't realize Conor's only had 3 fights in the UFC at 155, and he's lost 2 of those 3 fights. Conor was on his tear and his peak when he was at 45. That's when he was knocking everybody out. And I know people are thinking it's only 10 pounds, it's not that big of a difference. In MMA, when you're cutting weight, 10 pounds is a massive difference, especially in the frame of people that are cutting down to make that weight. Up until the point where Conor really kind of got overwhelmed and kind of got rocked, and his leg was really starting to get chewed up in that second round, Conor looked great. It didn't look like he had ring rust. It didn't look like the time off the layoff was affected at all. He looked fantastic. A few things to point out though is how Conor's coming in a very boxy heavy stance. He was coming in like this, versus normally when he used to fight, he would come in with that long stance with his arms long. You're fighting someone like Poirier like this, you're covering up against the straight shots, but Poirier throws phenomenal hooks. He comes in wide with those hooks, and when you're throwing like this, those shots are just going to come around the sides. And not to mention, when you're coming in with a very squared boxing heavy stance, your legs are going to be very susceptible to leg kicks because you're more squared. You have a more squared base, and it's harder to bring the leg up and check it. Conor kind of switched up his own style on himself, which I kind of think presented those problems to himself. He got caught with those hooks that was really rocking him. When he was up against the cage, he was covering up, but those hooks were what was catching him. And like I said before, that what got him to that point were those leg kicks. Also too, another big thing that people don't really talk about is before, when Conor was coming up, when he was on that 15 fight tear over the course of 5 years, he was talking to everybody, he was talking trash, saying all these things, getting in people's head. You saw that in the Aldo fight. He talked so much trash for a year, went on tour, stealing his belt, doing everything he did to get in Aldo's head, to get Aldo to come out, because he knows what kind of fighter Aldo is. Aldo's a pressure fighter, he's going to be in your face, and he's going to constantly be throwing strikes. He got Aldo to come all the way out, and Conor's very good at getting in and out of range. He's very in and out with that pull too. Got in his head, got him mad, so when the fight started, Aldo wanted to get out and get in his face, set him up for that pull too, and knocked him out. What a lot of people don't give Conor credit for is that, you know, they talk about how much power he has, how precise of a fighter is, you know, how good on the mic he is, but people don't talk about how flippin' smart the dude is. To be able to set up the things he set up, and to set it up prior, it's not even like he's setting it up in the fight, things he's doing in the fight. He's setting it up weeks before, months before, a year in advance. You know, whether he's talking trash, the things he's doing, he's putting little things in your mind to get you out of your element, because he knows when you fight angry, you're gonna fight out of your element, and you're gonna do things, you're gonna make mistakes, and that's what he's gonna capitalize on. That's what he did in all of his fights. He got in people's heads, and he's not doing that now. He's being this nice guy. I really think that's kind of being detrimental to him, because that's what his success was before, was getting in people's heads, getting them to fight out of their element, and all he did was capitalize on it, because that's why he was fighting real long. It was like an aura. It was the aura of Conor McGregor standing in front of you. He said all this trash, he talked all this trash, and now he's standing in front of you. Now I want to punch this guy in the face. And, you know, he gets you emotional, he gets you out of your element, and then smokes you. That's what he did. That's what works so well, and it's a strategic thing. Mike Tyson even said, fighting is not a tough man's game, it's a thinking man's game. And that's what Conor did. It's a chess game. He set you up beforehand, so when he got you out there, he knew what you were going to do. He was one step ahead of you and smoked you. That's what you saw in all of his fights, and he's not doing that anymore. I feel like that is kind of affecting his game a little bit, and maybe that's what the difference was. Pressure fighting, everything aside, money aside, I don't think layoff was a big thing. Maybe when he was coming up, all the trash and everything he was doing, because people weren't talking trash. He was really the first guy that talked trash. I mean, Chael Sonnen did it, but no one kind of really did it to the scale that he did it. Chael did it, but he was very professional about it and very well spoken. Conor just did whatever. He said whatever. He would steal your belt, do whatever. He didn't care. And I feel like that was a difference maker, because it made people mad. And in a sport like martial arts, where it's all about respect, these people got mad because they see this guy coming onto the scene doing what he's doing. Everybody wants to, you know, teach this guy a lesson and, you know, show him what the UFC is about. And that's what he did. He just played everybody. And right now, he's not doing what got him to the dance. He's doing a lot of the boxing stuff. You know, he's just being real friendly, and he's not doing what worked. I feel like that's really just the difference. I just want to make this video to kind of talk about that, because like I said, I know I was very supportive of Dustin. I was very big on, you know, rooting for Dustin. But now we're past that. I feel like a lot of people need to realize, you know, that Conor may be, you know, he may be kind of on a decline, or he may be just not what he was right now, but people need to understand you just don't do what he did by accident. And I just kind of want to figure out what switch. This is just my thoughts. I'm not saying, you know I have any sort of you know, special information or anything like that. These are just my thoughts, my breakdown of what I thought happened. If you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to drop a like, share this video with anyone else you guys know and find this video enjoyable. Share my video, send my video their way. I would greatly appreciate it. If you guys have any ideas, video suggestions, things you guys want to see me do, let me know in the comment section below. I'm trying to look for new video ideas, trying to find my niche, kind of narrow down what I do. If you guys have any ideas, let me know. And until next time, I will catch you guys later.